Right then, let's have a look at Chainlink then, shall we? Just Chainlink on this video and a quick overview of Bitcoin if you've not watched any more videos. So Bitcoin's basically, like I say, trading in a range. I'm on a 5-minute chat there because I've been doing some scalping, but basically in a range of roughly between 7,750 and 8,100, which is basically where the 200 EMA is. Any wick above there will be brought back down under 8,150, I expect, within a day or two. Any wick below 7,500 will be brought back up again within a day or two. I think that range is basically going to hold okay. Any breaking out of that range over there, I'd say by next week, midweek next week, whether that be up especially or down, we'll probably have continuation. But for the next few days until I guess Tuesday, Wednesday next week, that'll probably be the range we're playing in. And like I say, we'll always be brought back into that little range, 7,550 to 8,150, thereabouts. Anyway, let's look at Chainlink then, shall we? So Chainlink has been on my radar for a little while because it completely dropped and died. In fact, when we look at it here, this was a horrendous, basically about a month really, a horrendous price action, bringing it down so much so that there was a death cross looming. But bouncing on the 200 exponential moving average quite significantly recently has pushed it way above, to the point where it's not really going to get that death cross anymore. Again, on the tether pairing, it was looking a lot worse. We fell right down beneath the 200 exponential moving average, getting rejected from it. But just almost at the last minute, if this had gone on for maybe another week, we would have got that death cross. It would have been pretty nasty, but we've been launched out of it. So actually looking at it on sats makes a lot more sense really, because this is where we were clearly held up and bounced from. Tether, a bit misleading really, because it looks a lot messier and a lot more bearish. But avoiding this death cross has been very positive for it. And if we can hold above this level here of basically we'll call it $2. Above $2 is going to be pretty good for it. Below $2 it's going to be pretty bad for it for prolonged periods of time. Now where's it going to go from here? Very difficult to say, because this is a pump out of a bearish move. And looking at it on Tether, we're reaching pretty much towards the top of this RSI now, so probably going to have to pull back a bit. We're being rejected on the 200 simple actually, which usually doesn't normally get respected very often, but because there's nothing else above us, there was no other area for it to be rejected from, so we're respecting that moving average at the moment. So that's the 200 simple moving average. We go on the tether pairing, we've got nothing above us really, other than a itchy cloud, which is not really serving any purpose at the moment. So actually the bounce was caused from, if you look at, you're going to have to look at two of these charts together. You're going to have to look at Bitcoin and the tether. The Bitcoin pairing basically had our resistance levels, and the tether appears to be having, the tether is having our resistance levels, whereas Bitcoin pairing appears to be having our support levels. So this is why there's a bit of confusion as to where it's going and what it's doing. Is because it's not clear from one chart to the other where supports and resistances are, meaningful ones that would be, going by moving averages solely. And that's how I like to trade, on moving averages. So where we're going to go from here, it's going to have to cool off, I'm afraid, and if we're looking for bullish moves, we're going to have to look at breaking above this level where we pretty much are, this candlestick right at this moment. $2.30 is going to have to be broken and remain broken and stay above there. Ideally we're going to have to get above $2.50 for it to start to really make some big powerful moves like we saw before. To be honest with you, I think this rejection here is going to have a bit of continuation down, and let's have a look at where we could land on the sats level, down to about this level. So let's measure these out. So we're here, we could come back down to this level, so we could retrace by about 4%. 4% here is going to bring us down to around about $2.20, so we lose about 10 cents basically before our next area of support. That's not too bad actually, if that were to hold up. If it doesn't hold up, we'll be coming down probably, we could come all the way down to this level, so we'll just measure that one out now. So from where we are at this moment in time, coming all the way down, that's a full retracement of 13, almost 14%. Basically 14% from here is going to bring us to So it's not too bad. So really, if you're looking to trade this on the tether pairing, you could suggest that the 200 EMA on the tether pairing could become our bottom line of support. Maybe finding bounces on the green 50, which would be roughly around $2.05, to all the way back down to just below, we'll call it $1.97. But to be honest with you, after making a big pump like this, it's likely to do at least a 4% retrace. It's not. I'll be very surprised if we get continuation of this move, especially over the weekend. But our overall main target, I don't know really. I don't know. It's very difficult to say. It's definitely gone bullish again. It's not had that death cross, so it's avoided that quite spectacularly. And over this next week, where we're kind of expecting Bitcoin to continue, I'd expect Link to continue too, and maybe I suppose into next week this cloud is a lot smaller. If we were to break above the 200 simple, we could break above this cloud. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, and then pretty much it would be not a blue sky break, but there's nothing really above us of any significance which is going to prove to be resistance. We've got these wick areas historically around this level here before we broke down, and that's pretty much the top of this area of this cloud here, and candle bodies are around this cloud here. So this cloud to be broke above this cloud, even from historically from the top of this cloud here, we'll call it $2.58. Once we're above there, it shouldn't be too hard to actually start to make some really big bold moves. But for the moment, it's being rejected, so we'll give it 4% first of all, then down to this level here of $2.07, and lastly, if all else fails, we're back down to the 200 EMA. That's pretty much all I've got to go by on this little boy at the moment. It's its first bullish move in quite a long time, so like I say, it's very difficult to say. When we're looking at the MACD, RSI, MACD looks good, RSI looks pretty much done for at the moment, so it needs to cool off. So let's just hope for a small pullback of around about 4 or 5%. If we get a bit more than that, we could be looking at double that, around about 10%, between 8 and 10%. So don't buy it yet, wait for that retrace. RSI is quite high, and then the real battle will be next week. Once we get above $2.37, it could quite easily begin to make some big moves. And that's all I've really got to go by in this one. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you had a nice weekend, and take it easy.